Welcome to this week's episode of the Golden Point Podcast. We're joined with regulars Anthony Boucher and folks. All right, so this
A
is
big boost.
this is week two. We had a pretty good week last week, I reckon. A few incidents, especially with ADDO-CARR, the whole drug scandal. We are going
I
to
think
be
I went
yeah
4 for tips last week from memory.
Yeah, I think I was the only one that didn't go 4 for 4.
Made a
yeah.
mistake.
Our tips were a bit shocking last week.
Made a mistake
I
with the
had the
doggies.
Roosters to win, but Penrith they just got it. Penrith played really good in that game, and they
One game
deserved-
where you don't stick to the bias, mate. Should have tipped the Panthers.
should have tipped the Panthers, mate.
Well, on that game, should we get it cracking into the analysis of the Panthers and the Roosters, which was
Yeah, we're
played
gonna
on
start
Friday.
off that one. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
Friday night. Roosters Panthers.
I think
30 to
there's only
10.
two of that one.
30 to 10.
Here
Panthers
24-0
dominated.
halftime.
Panthers dominated that game. That was crazy. Roosters, they played like shit. Like you could tell that without those key players, without Walker, Smith, and Radley, I don't think they can. There's no chance.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
we had our questions about Nathan Cleary and his injury,
Mm.
and he just came out and he was ready to go. He
Yeah.
tore the Roosters apart.
Destroyed
Within
them.
the first 10 minutes, he'd set up 2 tries. He had some great plays on fifth as well, very early in the game. He went to kick, put a kick up, and he saw an open edge, and he just ran it. It's just that footy IQ that the Panthers
Yeah, he's just
have
a
that
great
makes them
playmaker.
dangerous.
Mm.
They took that game out pretty easily, and I think no matter who they play next week, I think they've got a pretty easy run into the grand final.
Yeah.
For sure. Moving on to Saturday night, Storm and Sharks, 37 to 10. Mr. Sharks fan, what happened, mate?
Yeah, that was a tough watch, that one. I had high hopes at halftime, and then Harry Grant just came out and had his best game all season. It was only last week how we were talking about how all the hookers had been a bit underwhelming this year, and Harry Grant just came out and produced an absolute monster of a performance for Melbourne, picking up a hat trick. I think Melbourne did everything they had to do. Sharks were poor with their errors. Melbourne just showing that they're a dominant premiership threat.
Yeah, that was a crazy game. I sort of did think Sharks could slightly do it, but in these type of games, Storm, they just always win these 100%.
Yeah, definitely. I think
You can never pull anything past Melbourne in the finals, mate.
Especially at
I mean,
Andy
the Sharks
Park,
look good in the first half, but I think
yeah. I think the key for the Sharks is they just need to get the errors out of their game.
Yeah.
First set of kickoff, we gave away a dropout, and obviously Cameron Munster capitalised on that, scoring in the first minute of the game. So Melbourne were always on the front foot that game, and I think when you give Melbourne that momentum, they just won't hold back.
Yeah. Yeah, so moving on to the Saturday night game, Cowboys and Knights,
Cowboys in the
28 to 16.
what
Now,
a game that
I
was.
don't think I really watched that game, to be honest.
I
Yeah.
watched up until the last 20
Yeah.
minutes, and I
Yeah.
missed out on everything past that, and
Yeah.
I should have watched the whole game.
I watched
don't really
this
watch
game,
it, no.
and it was a massive game. Kalen Ponga, I think Kalen Ponga, that game proves that he is worth the money that he's on right now. Kalen Ponga did everything he could. He played all his cards right. He was completely in that game from start to finish. I would be having a different conversation if Dan Gagai caught that ball and scored. So unfortunate for Ponga and the Knights. Cowboys just managed to scrape a win there. But I think even being on the losing team, I think I'd still give my man of the match to Kalen Ponga for that game. He was just phenomenal.
Yeah, he's on big money. He has to perform in these type of situations. He's got to carry the team as well.
Ponga was just he's just gone and proven that he is a Dally M winning fullback, Dally M winner. I think he showed his worth in that game, even though the Knights didn't come away with the win.
Yeah. Moving on to
I think the only
biggest
merits
game
for that
of the-
game for the Knights, I think, was just more. I think Ponga was really the only shining light for the Knights in that game. He was amazing, and I think the real problem for the Knights next year is to stop relying more on Ponga. I think having a set half combination, maybe sticking with what did so well last year with Hastings and Gamble, maybe not relying too much on Ponga in the attack. I think they can go away next year, possibly even make the top four like they did last year, sitting in fifth.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then moving on to the final game of the round, probably the most exciting game of the round. The
Bulldogs and
Bulldogs
Manly. That was a great
Manly.
game. That was
Um,
electric. Every time the Bulldogs scored, the stadium would rise. It'll be insane. It was insane. Great game.
uh,
Bulldogs should have won
Obviously,
that.
a fantastic finish. Tom Trebojevic busting up the middle with his
Mm.
grade 3 AC joint injury, and yeah, I know he is carrying an MCL injury as well. So he
He's
did
gonna play
well to
though.
get
He is
that
playing.
game. He took it up the middle, got the offload away, and then out to Kulor in the centers, and he was just that try was phenomenal. I
Mm.
didn't think he was going to score that, and then he just danced his way around the Bulldogs defense. Um, and managed to get them over the line. And I think a lot of that game came down to the experience Manly had in finals footy. Obviously, as we spoke about last week, the Bulldogs weren't a very experienced team when it came to finals time. And I think Manly being resilient and being able to hold on till the end and scrape that win is great for
Yeah.
Manly. I have my concerns around Trebojevic, but if he can push through, I can see Manly doing some things in these final series.
Yeah. And Bulldogs tried getting those last minute field kicks, but they all failed. Uh,
Oh, we've seen what
Burton
Burton can do with field
Burton.
goals in the year, so
Yeah.
I don't think it was going to work either way.
He had I think two chances. He missed them both, but
Missed them both.
yeah, that was unfortunate from them. So yeah, that was a great week of finals footy. But moving on to this week, tomorrow night we got Sharks and the Cowboys at Allianz Stadium. Big news for
Yeah,
Sharks. Big news for Hines blocking out social media, and external noise, as he looks to win his first final games in Cronulla colours on Friday night. Big statement.
yeah. I think tomorrow night's game is going to be massive for Hines. Obviously, he's probably been the most covered player in the media this week. Many questions being asked: is he the right man for the job? Um, Rumors that he might be getting moved on, but the Sharks CEO has come out and denied those rumors.
Mm.
I think throughout the media this week, I must say I'm really impressed with the Sharks as a club, his teammates, CEO, chairman, everyone at the Sharks has stood up and gone, we're sticking by Nico Hines. Uh, Craig Fitzgibbon has placed his trust in him again this week. Um, I think after looking out social media, I think
I think it's a good
that
good
this
move
game
from
only
him.
goes one or two ways behind. I think he either has an absolute shocker or he silences the haters. And I think he plays his best game of his NRL career. But the pressure is going to be on his shoulders. It's just about what the Cowboys do with that. If the Cowboys keep pressure on him all night, I think it may cause problems for the Sharks. However, I see the Sharks coming away with the win in this one. I think their uh, middle forwards, especially their bench rotation, COC for Talakai moves back to the bench, so he'll be played through the middle alongside a fitter Tommy Hazelton.
Mm.
These two can just change the momentum of the game at any point. Um, I think compared to the Cowboys, middles, Ruben Cotter's a workhorse, but then you have the likes of Jason Tamalolo, who he isn't the same player he used to be. So I think if the Sharks can bust them through the middle, I think the Sharks will come away with the win in this one.
Yeah. All right, then moving on to Cowboys analysis. So, no changes from last week, um, and they had a close game
Yeah,
against Newcastle.
no changes from the Cowboys. I think that
Don't think
middle
they need to
pack,
make
their
any
forward
changes.
is
No.
really going to have to step up if they want to come away with a win. They did have a very close call against a Knights team that just scraped into the finals. So I do see the Cowboys just. I don't think they have what it
I don't
takes
think.
to get the
Yeah, I
job.
don't think they're gonna do it against Sharks.
Um,
Wow, guys,
I
really?
think
I have the Cowboys
I
winning.
think Sharks are winning this one.
I don't see it. After all the pressure that's being put on the Sharks after their loss against Melbourne, what is it now? They've lost 7 finals games in a row,
Seven in
I
a row,
believe.
haven't won one since 2018. But
Yeah, there you go.
I think they have to break the curse eventually. I think the
This is the
Sharks are
year.
really locked into this one. I think this is the game where they break the finals curse. This week is
Yeah.
a different story, but I think this is the game where they break that curse and get that win.
I don't
Yeah.
see it happening. The Cowboys have always had their number on the Sharks. I believe they beat them in their last meeting this season, and last year in
I'll think
finals
back
as
to
well.
where both teams were fully fit. Round 7 this year, the Sharks did take away a 42-6 win against the Cowboys. I think both sides fully fit. I think Valentine Holmes is really going to struggle defensively. He hasn't been the best defensively, and then having uh, bigger players like Britton Nickera and Jesse Ramian running directly at him, I think that's just going to cause him problems all night.
Yeah, it's going to be a matchup to watch. What is it, Holmes? I think is he up against Iro on the edge?
No, or I think he'll either be out. I'm not sure. I think he might actually be up against Kale Iro. Um, but still, the Sharks, their back rowers are best line running back rowers, and both the Cowboy centers, Valea and Val Holmes, just they're not up there defensively, and having big boys like Talakai, Iro, and Ramian run at them alongside the best hole runners in the game, Britton Nickera. I think they're just going to cause problems for them all night, and the Cowboys won't have any answers.
Yeah. Alright, then moving on to the last game of finals week 2. Roosters take on Manly. That's on Saturday night. Big news for Roosters. We've got Radley named on the extended bench. He could be making a start, similar to the Cooper Cronk return in 2018 Grand Final. And also JWH. It's his last game, so he's probably going to go all out on this game, and I reckon he'd probably even get sin bin, to be honest.
I mean, if they win, it's not his
I
last
think
game.
Yeah, well, it's
I,
potentially if they're out, this is his last game. But either
yeah,
way, he's gonna go all
I
out
can
on
see
this
that.
game. He's a leader.
Unfortunately, I can see Warrior Hargreaves sin binning
Sin binned,
in
yeah,
this game,
and probably
especially
some
against the Manly
suspension.
forward pack that get gritty. Um, I think that that might be what lets the Roosters down. Also, I have questions about if Sam Smith is the man to lead the Roosters. Obviously, if Sam Walker's in that side, it's a different story. But I don't think Sandon Smith is mature enough yet to lead
Yeah,
that
he
Roosters
hasn't
side.
quite developed yet.
Personally, I would have Manu and Kiri running the halves, um, and then and then you have a few options out wide at centre. But Trent Robinson's decided to stick with Sandon Smith. Um, but on that, I have Manly coming away with the win here. I think they were phenomenal in their win against the Bulldogs. They were resilient. They have an outstanding half in Daly Cherry Evans. I think if Tom Trebojevic can get through this game, I think Manly will take this one out. I think if Trebojevic goes down injured, I can see the Roosters coming away with the win.
Yeah, I think Roosters will win this one.
I have the Roosters winning as
I
well,
mean,
purely on home advantage. I
yeah,
think more the strength of the outside backs compared to the Roosters probably have one of the best back fives in the comp, and I think if they can put that to use against the Manly boys using their advantage out on the edges, I think they can get a result here.
moving on to the last segment, we've got a question from the fans, you guys. We've got Jake Hill. Is Bush single and ready to mingle?
No, man.
um, what's the answer, mate?
No,
You're not.
I'm not seeing. I'm not ready to mingle with a guy. I'm not. I'm not. I'm straight.
Thought you were
I'm
bent, mate.
single, so ladies, if you want to get the line up.
Busha never mentioned anything.
Serious question now from Daniel Rulli. Does Luke Brooks go down as the GOAT if he wins with Manly? One finals, one premiership. What are your thoughts on this one,
Um,
guys?
well, like I think he has a case here because if Luke Brooks was to go and win the premiership, he would not only have a premiership, but he would also have a 100% win rate in finals football.
Yeah.
So statistically speaking, I think that makes Luke Brooks the greatest player to ever touch a football.
The greatest player to play finals, probably, but not the greatest player of all time.
No, he's completely washed, as I said last week.
I think okay, here's my hot take. I genuinely think, like all jokes aside, I genuinely think if Manly make the grand final, I think Luke Brooks wins the Clive Churchill medal.
No, he
Uh,
doesn't.
all, all jokes aside, I think Luke Brooks wins the Clive Churchill medal.
Against the Penrith or Melbourne, no, bro. It's either going to be Hughes or Cleary that wins in the grand final.
If Manly win, I think Luke Brooks actually wins the Clive Churchill medal.
It's either
Oh,
Brooks. It's probably going to be more DCE or Turbo.
Well, Turbo. Look, at the moment, Turbo's running around on one leg, like one leg and one shoulder. I actually like my hot take is that Luke Brooks. If Manly win the premiership, Luke Brooks will be a Clive Churchill medalist.
Yeah, right. You can live with that delusion, mate.
I don't think that's happening, but
It's a hot take for a
anyways,
reason, douche.
It's a delusional take. It's not even hot. It's just simmered water.
yeah, so anyways, that sort of concludes this week's episode. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. If you guys have any
Tune in next week.
questions, if you have any questions,
Freeland.
slide in at Bush's DMs on Instagram.
Nothing about my DMs. I don't want
At
any of it.
Anthony.Bush.
Yeah, that's his hat. If you guys want to slide in, just give him a little
No.
welcoming message. I'm sure he'd respond to these DMs. But yeah, if you have any
In all
questions,
seriousness, if you have any
yeah.
questions for us, go check it out on
Yeah, Golden Point
Instagram.
Podcast.
Our socials will be in the description,
Yeah.
but we are at Golden Point Podcast. Bringing you daily updates, all sorts of rugby league news,
Yep,
everything you could ever ask for, really.
exactly. We're also going to be on Spotify. This episode's going to be on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. So check that out. It's probably going to be easier if you're in the car or whatever.
And if you
just
don't
chuck
tune in
us
to watch
on.
the full episode, clips of the episode will be put on our
Yeah,
Instagram
on
page.
TikTok and Instagram. So yeah, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.